Hi, welcome to the Market Alert for Thursday, the 16th of July 2020. So yesterday the market tried to move higher and reached a critical level in the S&P, the broader market, but met with resistance despite a massive short squeeze. So even with the squeeze in the market, the US markets couldn't manage to move on through the resistance. So with that, let's have a look at yesterday's trades and see how they fared as well, which was actually quite odd, a quiet day for the German DAX. Okay, let's have a look and review some of the pertinent points with regards to yesterday's trades. And one thing to note, and it's a very frustrating thing as a trader, is that you can have the most brilliant volatility and momentum one day, and then the next day it just evaporates, and you would expect it to continue after a big day like we had yesterday, with the Dow up 455 points and straight up and gapping up overnight with the strength and the volatility, and it just all evaporated and disappeared. As you can see from the open, the market just traded sideways, and I thought, well, this is going to be fun. When it starts off like this, it generally stays like this until it breaks, and then you get the good trade. But the morning was very frustrating. As you can see here, the market fills the trade. We see the market trading down and through the scalp, and then it's just a matter of seeing if the market is going to continue its break to the downside. We've already got the weakness. We've got potential weakness here as well with the red in the green bar. And what I'm looking for is to see if the BRN will actually hold. I did on this occasion here, and I want to see if it will actually start to move to the downside. So I'm going to give it a chance to do this and take the risk. And the market comes back. I get the green bar, which is not what I want to see, because I can see some of the shorts are taking the profits. But the price is still below the 5-bar moving average in the BRN, so I'm going to see if it will actually move lower. So we're just going to fast forward, and there you can see that it came up, had a look at the 5-bar, had a look at the BRN, and then continued lower there. So now, as you will see here, look at the volume, and if you've not seen the 6 videos about interpreting the volume and how and using this information to give you additional clues, then go and have a look at them on the website in the members section. So now I can see they're buying back in at this point, or taking profits from the short side. So it's time to consider getting out of the trade. And you can see we're sitting here with 16 points profit. It's still mid-morning. The volatility really isn't there, and a case of exiting the trade there. So I'm going to fast forward through to the next one. You'll see prices trading sideways and higher. Again, this is indicative of this type of activity when the market puts in those green bars, which you can see there. So now it's just a matter of waiting to see if we've got another signal, and as you'll see in just a moment as I fast forward, we ended up with a potential buy, and the market is in a very narrow range from this high to this low. You can see the BRN there, and it's just like back and forth to this at the moment. There really is not a lot of momentum in the market, but the signals appeared. So again, I'm going to fast forward. You can see it's really quiet, and then just at the last 5 seconds before this signal would disappear, the market actually fills it, which you can see there. Now we've got the filled circle, so I'm going with the flow. That's what trading's taught me over these years, and the market's gone up to the actual entry point. It's come back below the 5. I've got nothing on the table apart from a few points now, and you can see here we've just hit the scalp. And probably the wise thing, as all these things in hindsight, well, I'll take the money, but I can see over to the left here I've got some resistance that needs to be taken out, so I need to give it a chance to breathe, because I want to let it run if I can. And you can see there we've got some professional buying. I've also got this 200 bar moving average in the way as well, and then just to add to it all, I haven't got any momentum. So what I'm doing here now is I've just drawn these lines in for you so you can see this resistance and this. And now I'm going to have to make a decision because I've also can see that the prices aren't going anywhere. And I'd rather take a smaller loss. And now I've got potential weakness coming into the market. I can see the pros aren't taking the trade any higher at this point either, and it keeps banging its head against this level. So I just decide to pull the trade there with a few points, which is useful because as we go on to the next trade, again we can see that we have a run at the resistance level, which I've still got drawn in here. I've got the 200 bar moving average in the way, and I can see that prices are now struggling as well. There's the scalp, and I'm just going to again see if it's got some momentum to move higher. And then I drew these lines on at the time as a reminder of why I got out of this trade, is because the volume in this bar is far greater than the bar before it. And I've got the 200 MA, I've got this in the way as well, but I'm just going to give it one more shot just to see if it will actually break. And now it comes back, it goes trades between the entry price and whatever, and it's a case of getting out of the trade there. Again, it's just not going anywhere. And there you see prices coming down. And then that's the end of the morning session there, which you can see. So then we moved on to the afternoon, and things didn't improve in the first part of the session. Again, the market had been sideways. I can see them buying back in on this bar because I have very high volume, the market testing at the BRN. Got some buying now trying to move higher. And immediately this is hit by selling because I've got selling over to the left there. So prices move sideways. They come back, they then put in a sell signal and hit the entry point. And over here I can see that I've got a problem straight away because I can see when they bought back in at this level here, and also how it sat on the BR, and in particular this one here at the start of the session. So if this market isn't going to go lower, it's because of all of the support that I can see to the left, and it needs to drive through it. The one problem I have, and I know this already, is the lack of momentum. So prices now start to do this, and you can see how the close price is starting to come back. Watch the volume build, and you will see that exactly what happens there. Now, watch for these types of bars. You can see that the market's come off the BRN. You can see that it's closed higher than the low that it made, and that volume as well. It indicates that there is some buying coming into the market. Now, prices have another look at the BRN, but this is a very, very brief look, as you can see there. So I'm still in, and I'm hoping that the market's going to break to the downside, but it doesn't. It starts to come back, and then I get a buy signal, get the buy ticket ready, and get ready to exit the other one. You can see it's still oscillating and coming back, but it doesn't work out, and the market goes to the buy side with a 13-point loss to kickstart the afternoon. And now again I've got that same issue that I had in the morning. Have I got the momentum to get through the actual trade and move prices to the upside? That's the key here. And again, this resistance is a real pain. We haven't got the momentum, and you'll see prices start to come back. And again, you can see they're just playing with the scalp and the entry price. And again, I'm hoping that the market's going to break to the upside. It doesn't, and I can see that it's not going to. So it's a matter of getting out of the trade. It tries to come back, and at this point I think, well, it's really quiet, so let's abandon ship, as it were. Might as well take a small loss, having taken one initially as well. And I don't get out as quickly as I would have liked to, and that puts me now with a 17 point and a 13 point loss there, which is a shame, but that's trading. It's stuck in this sideways range, a real pain. Prices then move lower, and as soon as I see this, I can see that they're bringing the market back. I've got the high down here and the 200 bar moving average, and then you'll see we get another buy signal, and that resistance over there, you can see how much it gave the market a lot of grief. And as we start to move back, I'll see this in just a second, we get another buy signal, so off I go again. And bearing in mind that we've already got the lack of momentum, and I can see I've got all of this to contend with, and it's frustrating. There's no denying that. It's all part and parcel though. So, but I keep going, and the market then comes back, and it then puts in a potential sell signal, and that's the last thing that I want to see. And fortunately, the market reverses. The Dow starts to move higher. The sell signal is cancelled, and the market starts to move to the upside. And at last, I've actually started to get to a situation where I can move the stop to break even, see how the market fares with this, and then just to add insult to injury, I've got a news item. Now, I've said in the market market alert, get my teeth in, it's late in the afternoon when I'm recording this, that treats all medium impact news items as high impact news items. And you see why perhaps I shouldn't have said that when we move forward on this, but I heeded the advice as prices started to move higher. You can see that I've just removed the resistance areas just to clean the chart up a bit as the market's moving higher. And then I'm watching this to see if it's going to get to the BRN before we get the news being released. And of course, you can see this is the point here where I actually got out, recovered the losses that I'd had earlier, and a real pain. Just to add to the frustration for the day, the market went up another 50 points, which would have been really nice, but I heeded the advice. And you can, with the crude oil inventories, it can become really wild. It used to be a medium impact. It was then upgraded to a high impact. But like I said in the market alerts over the last few weeks, we've seen a bit of an odd one with these items where they've changed them, downgraded them and whatever. So I just erred on the side of caution. But finished the afternoon with a few points and some in the morning as well. So up on the day, but nothing to shout about, which is a shame because it was a nice move thereafter. I could have moved the stop to break, not to break even, just tucked underneath, and if it had taken me out, there'd have been a bit of slippage. But I didn't, and that's trading. The decision was made. If you manage to trade through this and grab all of this, then good on you, because it didn't close back until here. We had some potential weakness at this level. The market came back, but it wouldn't close below the 5-bar moving average and continued up to the next BRN, which would have been great. But like I say, that's trading. It's one of those days that comes along just out of the blue where, as I say, it's a Murphy's Law day and the momentum just vanishes from the day before. Okay, that takes care of yesterday's trades. Let's have a look and see what the markets are doing on the overnight. And in the daily chart, you can see prices are lower, having found resistance at the 12929 area and moving lower at the moment, having got through the 89 fib, which I'm going to remove now. So we've got a bit of weakness around at the moment. So let's just zoom in a bit and have a look at things a bit more closely. The broader and bigger picture is very important, so you know where you are when you're in a short-term trade. So what I'm going to do here is to get the fib tool, and I'm going to draw from this low to this high and get an idea of where prices are likely to pull back to. If they are weaker, I'm just going to remove this one for the time being. So the first downside target is going to be the 5-bar moving average, as is the previous day's low. Very, very important. The previous day's low in the bull market is going to be very interesting, as we've seen over the last few days. and prices approaching this already, which we'll look at in more detail in just a moment on the overnight action. But these areas, should the low and the 5 bar be taken out, are also crucial. The first one would be 12629. That would be the first area. So let's have a look at the inside, see what's happening inside of this down move overnight. Prices have continued to move lower from the start, below the 200 bar moving average, coming back to it here with some selling pressure and then moving lower. So I'm going to just squeeze everything up. Let's have a look. There's the low. We could hit this from the 7 a.m. kickoff, with prices having a look at this, moving down sharply. If we do get a short and the market trades down to the low, watch out for the bounce. As I've said before, when you've got a strong market like this, it's been going on for 12 years, if you can get the market back up off the lows, if you go and have a look where you can see it came down to the low, and both these drove back on the same day. This one also, where it went below the low, but they soon brought it back. And again here, you'll see where they keep bringing it back when it gets down to the previous day's low. So watch the low first thing this morning. It needs to be broken convincingly if prices are going to continue to the downside. But already you can see, just even in the pre-market session, where they're just trying to hold the market at the moment. So yeah, keep an eye on this, and we'll see what happens. A quick look at the news, see what we've got. Claimant count for the UK today, Bank of England credit survey, and we've got the refinancing rates. The Eurozone, there's a press conference today, isn't there? Monetary policy statement, that is out at 12:45, and you've got the conference at 1:30. So a lot going on today. There's a lot of news today, the biggest day for a while. So yeah, make sure you check the news for the high impact ones in particular. And what time have we got the claimant count out? It used to be called the unemployment figures, not anymore. This is out at 7 a.m. and then the Bank of England credit survey at 9:30. Okay, so that's one out before we start, and one just before we finish at 9:30. Okay, that will do it for this one. As ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.